Now, there have been rumours that the division in the ruling All Progressives Congress APC could disrupt the early submission of the ministerial list, as the party and the presidency are being besieged by a series of politicians or political mayhem regarding ministerial nominees. Now, joining me to have this conversation, I have Prince Charles Ekundayo, JP. He's a politician, he's a veteran journalist, and a businessman. It's good to have you join us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Marianne. Good evening.
All right, it's good. So, of course, we're all familiar with what's going on within the APC, and, you know, of course, there will be some people who have interest. Politics is a game of interest, and the whole country is waiting on that ministerial list. We were hoping that we will not have to wait 6 months like it happened the last time for us to get a cabinet for this government to be up and running, especially for the sake of the budget. But as a politician and also as a journalist, let's use your bird's eye view to analyze what you think is happening in the APC.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, you will all agree with me that the present government that has just been inaugurated, headed by President Buhari, is another set of people entirely, majority. Now, there is no way forming of his cabinet can be like that of 2015 or so. The reason being that, as at that time, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, they were all a member of the APC, but they are in opposition indirectly. So this time around, we give glory to Almighty God, the Alpha and Omega, that made all things to be very easy, or easier, let me put it that way, because we are able, I mean, the party is able to get hold of the Speaker of the House of Reps and all other important officers like the deputies. If
it was that easy as you say, why are we still here 20-something days later?
It doesn't matter.
Keeping our fingers crossed, and then the infighting.
It's like, you see, within just how many weeks? 2 weeks? It's not too late. It was how many days ago?
Well, you're not taking over. You're taking over from yourself. Shouldn't that mean that you should have had a plan the moment you know that you have won? There should have been a plan in motion.
Politics does not go that way.
Really?
Yeah, because there are times you plan, but before, for example, now there are some people that may be favored by the virtue of the fact they supported the emergence of the Senate President, the deputy, and the House of Reps and the deputy, because they are all APC. Not that they are all APC. They are the people needed or chosen by the president and the APC as a whole.
How does this translate to picking people into
my President Muhammadu Buhari, is a man who knows what to do at the right time in this circumstance, and
really?
I know the action is going on.
We waited 6 months last year. He knows what to do, right? No, but we waited. If it's a man, in your words, and I'm not in any way trying to make the president look bad, but if you say that he knows what to do at the right time, we waited for 6 months, and oh my goodness, look at what the ministries, departments, and agencies looked like.
It was not his own fault.
After he put
it was not the fault of the president as at that time. It was the fault of the people in governance that time who are Saraki and Dogara and all of them. They made things so difficult to a level that there are so many bills sponsored by the government, by the federal government, which they rejected. They couldn't.
We're veering off. We're talking about putting square pegs in square holes. That is not the job of a Dogara or a Saraki. It is the job of Mr. President and members of his political party.
Yeah, well, you are just,
what you're doing now is talking about something totally different.
Okay.
Picking people who can do the job is what we're talking about.
The president is earnestly working on that now. I can assure you within a couple of 1 week to this time, the list will be out. You don't need to rush to something that will backfire. We need more technocrats. Though people that are there are some people who are in governance, who are part of the cabinet. They may not be technocrats in the field they were being put into. But this time around, it must be a total change government, because this is the second time.
I see you.
And the second time must be more better.
I see you holding forth for Mr. President in the
Not
APC.
really there.
Yeah. But let's go to this report about the fact that the division in APC may be the delay, might delay the submission of the ministerial list. I would like to quote that there are feelers that the All Progressives Congress and the presidency are struggling to manage series of political turmoil. Now, you made mention of the fact that the reason why it was such a tough nut to crack for Mr. President in 2015, it was because of the people who came from the opposition and became APC members.
Yeah, bad eggs.
Interesting. So I'm wondering, now that you've said that the Almighty God has brought saints into the APC, I'm wondering who are the people who are causing this turmoil now that is somewhat billowing in virtually all states, that, which is in regard to nominees for ministerial appointments.
Yeah.
Are there more demons in the APC from the opposition?
My sister, do you know one thing? All the cabinets, all the states are to be represented in the cabinet of a president. At least one person, one man or woman from each state. And before, the president, they used to submit the list through the governor. But this time, it may be and it may not be, due to the fact that there are some people who are not really loyal to the party. But there is no turmoil in APC about the selection or about the forming of cabinet of President Muhammad Buhari. No turmoil. It's just, I believe, it's just a political gimmicks from the press or whatever.
Well, I'd like to tell you that this is not a press concocted story. Apparently, a lawmaker, an APC lawmaker, names withheld, by the way, he said, and I quote, "The crisis is much at this time, particularly as party leaders have become confident that the president is not a lone stakeholder in the nomination exercise. So, in virtually all the states, particularly those that the APC did not produce governors, the APC is not having it easy at all." This lawmaker confessed yesterday. He also said in some places like the South-South geopolitical zone, there have emerged very strong, uncompromising leaders who would want to have everything their own way and nothing else.
Yes. That is not really wrong. Like in a place, in a state where APC did not produce the governorship candidate this time around, the leaders there, they just have to come together to make sure they do things rightly. But all the same, if they bring about 4 or 5 nominees, the president will pick 1 or 2 from there. So not all of them will be ministers at a time. There are so many appointments at the federal level. Federal agencies, boards, they'll be there. So the idea of forming the cabinet, apart from the cabinet, just one person. But we have like hundreds, thousands of board appointments.
Let's move away from the political part of this. Let's talk about the meritocracy part of it and the part of professionalism. With respect to the president, the last set of crop of ministers were not as amazing as we would have thought and expected. For example, I would like to name names. The former governor of Lagos State was an amazing governor for Lagos, but we cannot really use that word, amazing, when it comes to his ministerial job and his tenure. Okay? Do we see Mr. President flipping the script in this next 4 years, as per picking the right guys to do the right job? Not necessarily just the political aspect, because of course, like you said, there are so many interests and you would want to please people, but what about doing the job that is ahead of them and doing it correctly?
First and foremost, I need to just correct you for the beginning of your statement that our brother, Babajide Fashola Sehen, was amazing as a Lagos State governor. But you said you cannot say as much as she's amazing as a minister.
You have a right to change that
you have a right to your opinion.
Yes, of course.
But to me, he has been very much amazing. Why?
In what ways?
3 ministerial positions portfolios were given to him, just because of the fact that the president believed in him that he can deliver.
Did he deliver?
That's number one. Number two, housing, he did very well.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know the percentage of housing deficit in Nigeria as we speak?
Listen,
before and after?
Let me land before you bury me. In housing, she did very well. In this NEPA thing, which you and I
we don't have NEPA
we've been sovereign about this thing for a long time. But like as I tell you, I have light as before I left my home since morning.
Because you have light does not mean that.
I don't know. I don't know where you live.
So again, that's not a yardstick. We're working with percentages and facts.
As I'm telling you, the effort of the government has been frustrated, especially those who are businessmen. I mean, who are dealing with generators. They don't want the government to succeed in terms of giving us the benefit, in terms of the
You're telling me that a man who sells something in Alaba has more power over a state compared to the minister who has.
Are you telling me that you don't know how many people, how they do frustrate people in governance?
Please educate me.
They do.
Please educate me.
Okay. I need to educate you. For example, now you can see that people who, for example, let me just put it, let's say me and you who are competing for something. Do you know that I can go behind and organize some people to do something that will jeopardize your effort? But you won't know by the time you know the thing is gone. So this is the thing that, okay, the way these people, the government said, Fashola said, the meter is for free.
Well, it is.
But they are selling it for 30,000 or more or whatever.
Well, of course,
okay.
There are.
It is not right. A lot of people who are in this, who are corrupt, a lot of thousands of Nigerians are corrupt.
Let me just put this out there.
It is not the billions alone.
Has said if you go to any power holding company and they tell you that you should pay for a meter, there are numbers out there. There are ways that you can contact them. So that's not even an issue. But you were not able to convince me anyway. But finally,
either I convince you or I did not convince you.
Well,
I'm just trying to tell you that there are some saboteurs everywhere. In fact, I can imagine where a lot of billions of naira will be invested in a Nigerian project. Some people will be sitting somewhere just because they want to become billionaire overnight. They will be destroying what the government is planning, the plans here and there.
All right.
It's bad.
All right.
This is what is happening in Nigeria of today. Fashola has tried his best.
Okay.
And I know he will still do more. I pray for him that he will be in this
next cabinet by the grace of God.
I'm not campaigning for him.
But let's just quickly, before we wrap up, the Ahmed Lawan-led 9th Senate will resume in 2 weeks from their recess. That's on July the 2nd. And begin speedy screening and confirmation of nominees, if there be any. What do you expect? What do you expect from, now that we have all of them on the floor, the majority being the APC, do we see something speedily happening? And how soon do you think Mr. President is going to release this list? Let's speculate a bit.
I think within the next few weeks, between now, today, I think today is 20, eh?
Yeah, no, today's not 20. Today's 23rd, I think.
Huh? Am I right? So it's far.
Today's 20th. I'm 3 days ahead.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm right. Then I'm finding you for that. So I think within the next 1 week or two, everything will get to the House. And I can tell you, there'll be no wasting of time.
Apparently, we have just 1 more week left in June and a couple of days.
Led Senate. It's going to be fantastic. They're going to do well because in a natural fact, they are the people that are rightly needed by the party.
What is a government if there is no democracy and opposition? Because that's what
opposition is. Okay, what do you mean? There's opposition.
But the way you sound, it's like it's going to be rubber stamp.
No, there's something like rubber stamp. APC is in the majority in the House, okay?
Which is obvious.
And that opportunity now, if you can, will be used for the benefit of the party and the whole Nigerians.
Okay. Well, we want to say a very big thank you to you, Prince Charles Ekundayo, JP. He is a politician, a veteran journalist, and a businessman. Thank you very much for being part of the conversation.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we'll take our plus packages, and when we return, I'll be giving you my take.
The Nigeria police has stated that it has recorded another milestone in its war against kidnapping. The Force Public Relations Officer, ACP Frank Mba, said that another set of kidnappers have been arrested with several high-caliber weapons recovered from the suspects. Notable among the kidnappers were those who recently kidnapped the chairman of the Universal Basic Education Commission, Mr. Mohammed Mahmood, and his daughter sometime in April 2019 along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway.
Operatives from the IRT, as well as operatives from the STS, all domiciled in these premises, and who are integral and very important components of the Operation Poor Father scheme. Within this period, we were able to arrest a total of 38 suspects, one of them a female. All of these persons that we're presenting to you today have been positively been indicted by our investigations in one way or the other in various crimes, particularly in kidnapping, armed robbery, car theft, cattle rustling, unlawful possession of firearms, illicit manufacturing and fabrication of weapons, attempt to commit culpable homicide, and in some clear cases, actual homicide. Within the period under review, we recovered a total of 11 AK-47 rifles, in addition to other locally made weapons and also automatic pump actions. We want to use this opportunity to inform Nigerians that the remaining suspects that were implicated, or rather that were involved in the unfortunate incident that led to the kidnap of the UBEC chairman, as well as the daughter, have been arrested. 4 of the suspects are here today. We also have here a big-time kidnapper, one Abubakar Umar, who operatives from STS arrested in the course of the numerous investigations that they've been carrying out.
Well, it's time for my take. Now, concerning the issue of religion and politics, I believe it's wise to keep them apart from each other. But then my guests kind of made me see reasons that, look, religion and politics have to go hand in hand. So, serve your God with all your heart and do the right thing, because if you do not go out and vote, you cannot complain about what the government or your country is not doing. Serve your country with all your strength and hope for the best. Now, mixing the two, that's politics and religion, can lead to all sorts of things, and that's what I believe that Reverend Kuka was saying. Yes, you can, the two can go together, but don't become antagonistic. Lead the way, you know, do the right thing, tell people to support government and criticize constructively instead of negatively trying to tear down the government. So it's okay to pray, admonish each other from the holy books, but keep them at least 85% apart. And also, any leader holding a political position is in service to the country and its citizens, not to his or her political party. Now, allowing the problems in your party to stop you from performing your duties can actually stop the successful running of a country's system. So, for the government, the presidency, the APC, from all states, from all regions across the country, please let us put this kind of behavior behind us and take Nigeria forward. Let us build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. And that's all for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I think I've spoken too much. Let's see you tomorrow, same time at 7 p.m. for another interesting episode of Plus Politics. I'm Mariana Kun. Have a great day.